Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this quarter's, the January Kentucky Innovation Hub's quarterly update. We are so pleased to have you. I certainly do hope everyone is in a very warm, dry indoor space. And while we've all had to deal with some crazy weather this last week, I'm glad that you're here with us this morning. Certainly, I expect that some may not be able to. And so, again, that's why we always record this particular webinar and send it around to everyone to make it publicly available. Do check on your partners, your startup clients, your investor network, and other folks, as a good steward of all of our partnerships in our entrepreneurial community. And with that, we will go ahead and get started. Of course, the Innovation Hub update is presented by KSTC in partnership with KY Innovation at the Cabinet for Economic Development. And we are currently about midway through our fiscal year 2026 as we continue to work together to strengthen our entrepreneurial regions across the state. And each of our hubs, of course, is dedicated to supporting tech and tech-enabled founders across the state. I'm Lisa Bajornis, Executive Director of the Innovation Hubs with KSTC. And quickly, our rundown today is I will go ahead and, as I generally do each quarter, provide to you a quick snapshot with our State of Startups for Kentucky report. We'll jump over to David Brock for a cabinet update, and then we will jump into it with our hub updates for this quarter. And so with that, we are showcasing the impact and the results of our hubs and what they have achieved from the period that starts July 1st until December 31st. So that is the period we are generally talking about today, as I said, halfway through our fiscal year. And just so you know, you can always go back to these recordings. We have a library of them on the KSTC site. Just click over there at kstc.com. You'll see the Our Initiatives menu. Scroll down to the Innovation Hubs, and then on that webpage, you'll see both the recordings for quarterly public updates as well as our State of Startup report. So anytime you want to go back and review that information, you are always welcome to do that. So with this quarter, our State of Startup reports, I want to highlight some of the entrepreneurial achievements in Kentucky for the past quarter. First of all, I've got some welcomes, which are always fun. If you haven't met Chris Rates with Elevance Health, you should. Chris is new to Louisville, but he is shaping the future of leadership with artificial intelligence. And he's doing that through systems thinking, narrative intelligence, and empathy. So he is really a guru in the AI space. Again, fairly new to Louisville. I know he is making the rounds to many of our ESOs and various different partners and groups across the state. And this is exciting, hundreds of millions of dollars are heading to startup General Matter, setting up a uranium enrichment facility in far western Kentucky to support private uranium enrichment efforts. So $900 million in that task order is going to really speed things up, as you can imagine, for General Matter, with the money going towards construction and startup costs for the facility, and that broke ground in August. And this federal funding will truly accelerate the company's production scale by years. And our innovation hub in that region, of course, Sprocket Innovation, has been highly engaged with General Matter since their site selection last year. And we want to welcome Very Virtual Eating Recovery for You. They're a tech-enabled virtual psychiatry, therapy, nutrition, and coaching company aimed at providing care for eating disorders. The co-founder team there, Dr. Aaron Knopf and Brandon Johnson, have moved to the Bowling Green area last year, and they have now connected to the growing healthcare-related community through Create. We want to extend congratulations to a number of companies for their accomplishments and organizations. Congratulations to the organizers of last year's Startup Weekend Louisville, helping startup teams that participated create 8 or so new startups, literally in 54 hours over a weekend. Each of them received training, mentorship, and tools that they needed to start those businesses. Months of caffeine, courage, and just one more pitch deck edit all led to the 25th anniversary of the Vote Awards Demo Day in November. Thank you to the Community Foundation of Louisville for hosting this annual event and for supporting entrepreneurs in the Louisville region through grants and technical assistance since 2000. We want to congratulate Timothy Tweet with Proper Pilots. He and the team won $8,000 last fall in the Next Big Thing 2025 pitch competition held in Southern Indiana. Awesome Inc. and their partners hosted the 15th anniversary, of course, of the Kentucky Entrepreneurship Hall of Fame in November. This event celebrates the stories of Kentucky's most successful entrepreneurs with a mission to raise awareness around the impact of entrepreneurship and what that has made for Kentucky. So we want to recognize Mentor of the Year, Randall Stevens with Avail. Investor of the Year was recognized as Brooke Smith with RSLP Ventures. And 2 emerging entrepreneurs were recognized, Julia Reagan with RX Lightning and Jake Rouse with Braxton Brewing Company. So congratulations to those early stage mentors, investors, and entrepreneurs who were recognized at the Hall of Fame. Wicked Technologies is a developer of a washable, reusable, sensorized bed pad that can detect moisture in real time, and it sends alerts to caregivers. They were recognized by the National Institute for Dementia Education, NIDE, as one of their best products of excellence. And their grand opening ribbon cutting for their new facility is actually today, following our webinar. Congratulations to Kentucky Coffee Trail. You may know the Bourbon Trail, but we also have a coffee trail founded by Jenny Kaus. They were asked to join the Accelerate 606 program, and they also earned their first major sponsorship, $10,000 from Moorhead Rowan County Tourism, while they continue to connect communities and visitors through Kentucky's vibrant coffee culture. And you know, coffee is my thing. That's my jam. All righty, Whole Note was selected to pitch at the inaugural Music Tech Startup Showcase at Confluence in Charlotte in October, and that gave them the opportunity to showcase their business, receive feedback from industry experts, and of course, generate a lot of new connections in the music tech community. I won't go into the list, but we do want to recognize and congratulate the 22 companies selected to KY Inno's Startup to Watch in 2026. They represent all of our urban and rural areas of the state. I know that their recognition celebration event was postponed last night. I believe that that will be rescheduled for sometime in March, and we look forward to celebrating with them when that time comes. On the capital front, our innovation hubs and I track investment activity in Kentucky startups, which means the number of startups that receive funding and the total amount invested in them. So since the start of this calendar year, so going back to January 1st of 2025, this last year, full year, we had 76 startups that were funded at $187.5 million in those early stage companies. Just a few to highlight. In the last quarter, in the Awesome Inc. region, Bespoke and Spirits raised $12.39 million of Series C venture funding from undisclosed investors in October. Their production includes whiskeys, rum, brandy, and tequila, produced by replacing the antiquated and wasteful barrel aging process with new sustainable science and technology. And in the Amplify region, Desicor raised $5 million in a seed round from Key Horse Capital. and other undisclosed investors in November. And of course, Desicor is developing freeze-dried red blood cell technology to extend the shelf life of blood for lots of remote locations. We did have one exit this past quarter. We want to celebrate that. Of course, a startup exit is when the founders and the investors of a startup have the opportunity to cash out, usually by selling the company or taking it public. It's basically the end game for most startups, where all the effort and the risk ideally turns into a financial reward. Congratulations to Journey Warehousing, led by Lydia Henshaw, who bought the company through an ETA, entrepreneurship through acquisition model, and Journey Warehousing was acquired by Nice Transportation for an undisclosed amount. We've got some really cool congrats just to round this out. Larry Horn, Executive Director of Amplify, is an entrepreneur and a community builder who has dedicated his career to enabling innovation and supporting founders throughout Louisville and Kentucky. As a founder, as a startup coach, as an ecosystem builder, congratulations, Larry, on being recognized with the 2025 University of Louisville Alumni Ambassador Award. And congratulations to our own Dave Knox, Executive Director of Blue North. Dave was named to the Cincinnati Business Courier's Power 25 list. That is no surprise. This honor recognizes leaders who are growing the region's economy by creating jobs, building community, and strengthening Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky. Dave has spent 2 decades in this work, and under his leadership, Blue North has truly cemented itself as the center of gravity, as he likes to say, for entrepreneurship in Northern Kentucky. Also with Blue North, congrats to Reese Watson, their Chief of Staff, who was named among Cincinnati Inno's 25 under 25. And finally, congratulations to Monica Belak and the Sprocket team. They launched a satellite office in Hopkinsville to better support those entrepreneurs. So that's what I've got for you. Certainly, I will tell you, our innovation hubs ended 2025 very strong with many signature events. You're going to hear about several of those. I won't go into them. But, 5 Across Pitch Finals, Awesome's Kentucky Investor Summit, Create's Small Business Summit, Sprocket's inaugural Demo Day, Blue North launching their Open Pitch Mic, and SOAR's Founder Fit Bootcamp. All of those and more ended the year super strong, bringing our entrepreneurial communities together. So with that, I'm going to hand the microphone, so to speak, over to David Brock. David is, of course, Executive Director of the Office for Entrepreneurship and Innovation with the Cabinet for Economic Development, for a cabinet update.
Thank you, Lisa. Welcome, everybody. I am still a little bit ice and snowbound today, but happy to see everybody on here and hope everybody has stayed safe. I'm excited to have everyone join this. This is one of my favorite opportunities, not just for the public to get some perspective on all of the work the hubs do, but I love seeing all of the hubs iterate on and highlight all of the great work that they're doing in one place at the same time, because I think that that really starts to give you the comprehensive picture of all the work they're doing across the state of Kentucky. And the work that the hubs do really is essential to driving innovation and innovation-based economic development in Kentucky. And that's whether it's through coaching, the right connection to capital or customers. They truly are on the forefront of not only serving startups in their regions, but also in developing new ways of helping advance startups. And I think some of that is going to kind of bubble up today as you hear about some of the unique things and initiatives that the hubs are undertaking to help startups. They are really laboratories pushing the frontier of ways to serve startups in Kentucky and beyond Kentucky. So very proud of that and always excited to hear about the new things that the hubs are doing in the space. Over the last 6 months, we've had a lot of successes that you're going to hear about today. Most of the hubs have also expanded their service areas, and some of that is probably going to be touched on by the hubs, but just want to remind everybody that we are about 6 months into most of the hubs having an expanded service area. And so, I'm extremely encouraged to see how the hubs have interacted with, built those ecosystems. It's not an overnight process, but we're very encouraged by the connections that are being made and want to use this as another opportunity to say, wherever you are in the state, as a service organization, as a startup, as an entrepreneur, make sure that you know which hub covers your region so that you can interact with them. They're providing all of the services they're going to talk about that have borne fruit for a lot of the companies they work with, but they're building those ecosystems. And so knowing who they are, where they are, is important to continuing that success. And I want to also just highlight the collaboration between the hubs because this does not work and it doesn't serve Kentucky as a whole if the hubs are not interacting with, sharing ideas with one another. And the group of directors and leaders that we have right now and all of the people on their teams, I believe, have really embraced that. And it's starting, I think, to be a catalyst for a lot of the momentum that we're having across the state and serving startups. And I really do believe that we have momentum and that there's not been a better time to be an entrepreneur or a startup in Kentucky. Over the next several months, we are going to be building on that momentum that's being generated in large part by the hubs. And some of the things that that's going to include in partnership with us, we're going to continue to strategically deploy a lot of early stage investment and lending capital that we have not had available in the state in a long time. The Kentucky Small Business Credit Initiative, which some of you are probably familiar with, that's federal money that leverages private investment on the venture side, as well as collateralizes and allows the state to provide lending capital side by side with lending institutions. We are now nearing the end of our second tranche of that funding. With We're optimistic about the third tranche soon. So making sure that we are wisely but actively deploying that capital is something that we're going to be focused on in support of the kinds of companies that the hubs work with on a daily basis. The non-dilutive capital tools that we have here, the SBIR matching fund program, that has been really a vital part of advancing innovation in the state. We're about to announce the most recent round, but just want to make sure that I always mention that. I know that that is a program federally that has some idiosyncrasies. Not every startup or company is a good SBIR, STTR candidate, but I do want to always highlight that because it is something that is still a strength of for our state. We have a more lucrative, maybe not the term that I should use for a public program, but it is a program that provides a higher match for phase ones and phase twos than just about any other state in the country. And so that's something that we're going to continue to be strategic in using to support our mission. And then we're also going to focus on cultivating and attracting even more of the high growth businesses hub support, particularly in areas of sector strength for the state. As many of you are probably aware, it's been a couple years ago now, but the cabinet, along with the Kentucky Association of Economic Development and other partners, undertook a economic blueprint for the state of Kentucky that honed in on what our current sector strengths are for the state, but also identified what are our opportunities to win going forward. And so a lot of those opportunities to win fall squarely in some of the spaces that our startups work in, from life sciences, fintech, but then really there are opportunities to cluster around the traditional sectors such as advanced manufacturing and logistics, some of the other things that Kentucky is known for. And we're going to really lean into that from a support and programming and capital standpoint. And then lastly, I just want to preview, I guess I would say, that we're going to be working with the hubs and all our partners to make sure that we are really doing a better job of highlighting and making sure that these resources and opportunities that we have to offer as a state are visible to anybody as an entrepreneur, as a startup, whether it's inside Kentucky or outside Kentucky, that we are telling our story and highlighting these real successes and what's possible here. So more to come on that, but just want to say stay tuned. We're going to be doing a lot more outreach and a lot more promotion to make sure that we are letting everyone know not just what's happening in Kentucky, but what's possible here. So I've taken up too much time already, but I want to thank you all for being here. And thanks to all the hubs for the work they do. Please reach out to your hub if you're not connected to them and get to know them. And then if you would like to learn more about our office, which is a part of the Cabinet for Economic Development, please get connected, reach out, kyinnovation.com or info@kyinnovation.com. Thank you, Lisa.
Great. Thank you so much, David, and for reminding us of the support coming from the state through the various state programs that support entrepreneurship. All right, moving on through our agenda. We're going to move around the state. As you know, through the assistance of our innovation hubs, entrepreneurs have access. And they have access to vital resources that come from and through the innovation hubs and includes personalized startup coaching and consulting, access to capital, customer acquisition support, mentorship opportunities, talent connections, and of course, many, many strategic introductions and networking into our community. That is largely the bulk, if you will, of the service array that each of our innovation hubs provides. And we're going to work our way around the state now for those updates. Moving on next. What you're going to hear about, of course, is quickly a startup win from the region from the past quarter. We're going to do a quick rundown and view of the 9 key results that each hub is tracking against their 12-month goals. They'll give you the 6-month result of the 12-month goals so far, where we are. And they'll highlight about 3 of those 9 that they choose. They'll quickly give you an event highlight from the past quarter. And then I've asked them to just share a short story of a customer connection that the hub has made on behalf of one of their startup clients. So we'll hear from that. We'll start right off the bat in our Western region. We're going to bring up Monica Belak. She is Executive Director of Sprocket. And this includes Paducah, Owensboro, and the newly launched Hopkinsville. They're serving 22 counties. And I know, Monica, you also have Ben Allegre with Swell with you. Good morning.
We do. Good morning. Hey, everybody. Good to see you all. Yeah, I want to start with Swell, but before I do, I want to give you guys kind of some background on what we tried to do with our next 50K. So a lot of you know we have this competition that we've done since we started in 2021. And you probably know Feed Coyote, Data Rovers. They've been on other parts of the state now competing and meeting investors. But this time we wanted to look at how could we run a pilot where we could integrate a company already possibly in Kentucky or not into our ecosystem and really get kind of deeper with the customer experience with them. So that is kind of the method we've tested this year, and we really are very happy with it. And so this idea of forming a pilot came out of some other stuff we'd seen in agriculture, actually. But I saw the founder of Swell at, I think it's a Louisville-based company, but I met them at an awesome event. So, hey, kudos to all our hubs for, putting this all together. So when I saw the presentation and how they were working and how they were really working with military, we've got a huge military base here, and they've even had a pivot to first responders. It just all lined up. I'll let Ben get into the company and then we'll talk about those customer connections later. But just that's the background of how we actually connected with another Kentucky company and wanted to really run some pilots with some customers in our community. All right, Ben, I'll let you take it from there. And Ben, let me introduce him. Ben Alegre is the head of growth at Swell, and he has been working in our region for the last, I don't know, 3 months, Ben?
Yeah, something like that. So I guess I'll go ahead and take it from you here. Thanks, Monica. I'm Ben Alegre, head of growth as well. And as she said, I've spent the past several months going to Paducah, week on, week off between there, Louisville, and all across the state, trying to get new departments to try out our platform. So we've been involved in the Market Fit Lab, and I've also been kind of going after that Western Kentucky market simultaneously. So a little background on us, some of the points that she mentioned, we actually did spend the last 3 years providing teletherapy. This was mostly with the military population in Tennessee and Kentucky. That's where we recognized that there's a lot of highly self-reliant individuals who may be reluctant to use those traditional resources. And we also found this to be true among folks in law enforcement. We did some customer interviews, learned a little bit more, and recognized that similar scenario existed where many officers and deputies have wellness sources available, but they're just not using them very consistently. So with all of this in mind, we created the Swell we see today. And that's an app on your phone that can be anonymously accessed 24/7. It does use AI chats, but this is something that's grounded in clinically proven intervention methods. And you can start a chat about pretty much anything, whether it's something you saw on your job that you wanted to discuss, that's sticking with you, to maybe issues at home, trouble sleeping, or hundreds of things in between. So we actually did our first pilot with the Paducah Police Department. So that started a couple months ago. We've onboarded a couple other departments along the way. And we're seeing anywhere from 2 to 6x usage than the average EAP wellness program usage rate nationwide. So that initial success has been pretty exciting. As we mentioned earlier, we are in that Market Fit Lab where Sprocket has helped us get connected to Paducah PD, several others with our initial pilot. And it's doing exactly what the name suggests, see if our solution is indeed a fit for the law enforcement market. Not only has the connectivity been very helpful, but also having just the support of coaches, being around the cohort of other startup leaders, founders, has been great as we kind of all in this together to help each other grow our companies.
Yeah, thank you, Ben. It's been exciting too. I will say our board members got really involved in making introductions as well. But when you hear a police chief or state trooper, somebody's in charge of the mental health of those guys, and they really understand this problem, you really get a sense of, wow, this is it's huge. It's a big issue. So happy to have you. All right, next slide, please. Okay, quick metrics. If you just take the far right, looking down 176, 59, 37, 8, this is a perfect funnel to look at. You have to have so many people served, and we're right on target to actually get a good referral, which you'll see is the 59. So it takes us down, a notch. And then really advancing those companies from that is our 37. We've compressed our stages into about 4 stages, but that's really where we're looking at, once somebody's made the entry and they've finished their customer discovery, how are they advancing in that growth trajectory? So we feel really good about hitting that goal. But not only that, but just really how the far right funnel looks, because that's really what we need to see. And then, excuse me, from that, we got 8 businesses so far. So we're ahead of that. But these are 8 really solid. We feel really good about these companies coming in. So that would be how we look at our metrics, and I'm glad it funneled beautifully there. So thanks. And then next slide. All right, we hosted in December. Early December, we hosted a demo day. And actually, this is our first demo day in this format. And it was wonderful. We had 8 companies. We had people from all over the state. So, hey, shout out to everybody from the cabinet that showed. That was awesome to have you. And also Lisa and everybody else from KSTC, because it was amazing the conversations we got to have with the right people right then and there. That just blew us away. You know, we are a haul. I know it's a good 4 hour drive, 6 hours from Eastern Kentucky. It's a long way. But when we find that we can just have that immediate connection with investors, with people who are strategically connecting us to others, it just speeds us up so much. So I cannot thank you guys enough for being here, and I expect you to come every year. It was wonderful. And then back to our just how we've made these connections. The police department is actively running a pilot that has been great, and that was really great too, because a lot of our funding, believe it or not, almost 50% comes from our local governments. So they really needed to see, how does this actually work? What is this tech enabled? What is this startup? And what does a pilot look like? So this has been phenomenal. We also happen to have a key person at the Kentucky State Police. So they are also looking at starting their onboarding. And then just because, again, Ben was here and we hosted an event, and the people were in the room. It happened to be the right people in the room at that moment, that we were able to start a pilot, up near Hopkinsville as well. I don't know if you have anything to add. I don't know if we have any time to add. So Lisa, you can let us know. We do not. All right. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Ben, for joining us. Monica, couldn't have said it better with your funnel and the way that this is optimally to work, and then those immediate collisions that happen through a great networking event. Happy to be there. Thank you. From the Western region, we're going to move forward, and now in our Louisville region, which also represents the mighty Elizabethtown, we've got Jen Callahan, who is Chief Vision Officer, co-founder of Amplify there. Representing, I believe, 12 counties. Jen, welcome.
Thank you, Lisa, and great to hear the story about Swell. I had the pleasure of meeting Ben in Milwaukee on our glad trip, so always good to hear what's happening and how the hubs are working together for these founders. So thank you. Appreciated hearing about that, Monica. So going into what Amplify is up to, our success story and founder team that we wanted to highlight this time around is Do Gooder. This is a great example of some college founders, super innovative, tech driven, having a very good hands-on experience with a problem that they saw an opportunity to create a solution for. So if you either can remember back the days of keeping track of syllabi and trying to make sure that everything gets turned in on time, or maybe you have, kids that are in that stage of life right now trying to do the same. But the app that they've created has been really growing and adopted very quickly. So we're excited about the work that they're doing to help students with this application that they've built, and they're having a lot of momentum. Amplify is lucky enough to have had the opportunity to work with them at different touch points along the way. Everything from connecting them to the University of Louisville directly, where they were having some barriers to get the right connections. Amplify was able to give them some new opportunities to connect and start getting customers in the university they are in here locally. So that was really awesome to see that work start to happening. And then we've also done a lot of one-on-one coaching with them. They were a part of the VOTE program. And I know, Lisa, you were very close to seeing some of that work firsthand through that program. So great story for us to be able to highlight today. And we're doing something really cool and fun with them on some startup swag. So more to come around that. And then going into our metrics, we the starred metrics were what we wanted to highlight for this period. I think this is just another testament to some of the coaching and programming that we've really put a focus on that brings our numbers up and far exceeding what we had set. And then the participation in the events, we have seen a very strong demand for these founder-focused programs. So great opportunity to celebrate those and our third annual golf scramble with the startup community. We did this a little bit later in the season. It was in October, close to Halloween. So, Forecaster, if you know this group, if you know these founders, it will be no surprise that they came out full costume. They were, in the like dressed as knights, Monty Python style stick horses. They were all in character the entire event, and it's just they really showcase the nature of the startup community and that they work hard, they have fun, they give back to the community, and Amplify was lucky enough to partner with them to be a part of the golf scramble where so many community stakeholders show up for this. I think that's just a really interesting thing that happens with golf scrambles is you get a great mix of corporates, founders, other community stakeholders. Is just a really good mix and diverse opportunity for everyone to connect in a fun way. So we were really proud of the event that we had there. This last piece around MEVPAC, we have been talking about this a lot because there has just been a number of ways that Amplify has worked with MEVPAC, everything from meeting them at the speed networking event that they came out of nowhere. We had no connection to them prior to that. But through that engagement, we started doing these intros and connecting them with our entrepreneur residents to get high visibility of the prototype that they launched. And then fast forward, they are, in discussions with major festivals here locally. So we're excited to see that connection really helped them gain momentum and visibility in the area. So that was a fun one to highlight. And we continue to hear great things about the work they're doing. And that's it from us.
All right. Thank you, Jen, so much. Golf Scramble, always a great way, especially to bring in those corporate folks. Love it. Connect them to your startup community. And congratulations to the success with MEVPAC. All right. We are moving to the middle of the state in our Lexington region. We have Garrett Farbach, who is director there. They're serving 28 counties through Awesome Inc. And do we have Garrett with us?
We do. Lisa, can you hear me?
Yes. And Garrett,
Okay,
are you
sweet.
coming to us from Costa Rica?
I am. I'm hiding in front of a curtain because I didn't want all the people who are freezing back in Kentucky to see the fall.
You're the only one who's warm.
Yeah, it is very warm out here.
Welcome.
Well, thanks, Lisa. I appreciate you having me. And again, quick shout out to the other hubs on here, talk about all of our startup friends. Proud of the do-gooder team, the swell team. And if possible, either Lisa or Jen, I would love that picture of the Forecaster guys with the Monty Python garb because that is just, that's too funny. Okay, anyways, back to regular programming. So I'm highlighting one of the companies in our fellowship cohort from this past fall, over with the SoFab team in Louisville, and Jack's a longtime buddy, and they have a really cool company that is focusing on solar panel growth and efficiency, and a bunch of science words that go over my head, but we're going to talk about them and what they've accomplished. But real quickly, just a couple notes that I have written down is these guys were accepted into the fall cohort of the fellowship program, and on a monthly basis, we're going over metrics and strategy growth calls for their startup growing. And right now, we're helping them with some investment connections and conversations as they're raising a $5 million seed round. And we've helped them unlock $25K for a traction program, which is part of the fellowship program that we've been able to package with a funding partner. And because of that, we've been able to introduce them to a specific Kentucky Entrepreneur Hall of Fame inductee as a mentor who is in Louisville with them. And the goal is we connect people that maybe they've brushed shoulders once or twice, but the hope is that we connect them for a longer term relationship that they can continue to grow with much longer past the fellowship program. So excited for Jack and Kent Euler, who are just two awesome entrepreneurs. For the metrics we're going to highlight, Lisa, I know we'll talk about Startup Advance. One I want to talk about is Startup Connections. Is this past October, we did something a little different. For some of y'all that know about Awesome, we do a speed dating investor program every year. This year, we made it more into a multi-day event. And I will tell you what, if you ever make a startup directory with a bunch of investors and founders and you connect every single individual person, just know you're taking a long task of making a lot of introductions. So I did that, and it was great, but it was well worth the fruit that it brought from all the investors and hopefully the deal flow we're getting for these founders. And then for Startups Advanced, one of my colleagues who's not on this call, Ben Streevy and I, whenever we meet a founder through our pipeline, we sit down and talk with them, or we get on a Zoom and talk with them, and that starts the process of tracking where is this founder, whether from an idea stage or if we meet them later on when they're budding and they're having some traction. So we have a pretty rigorous system, and then every year, and then this is where the next metric we'll talk about. Every year we do an annual assessment, and so we'll go back through all the companies we've worked with and rank their growth or acknowledge they were stagnant. Why were they stagnant? How can we help them? And then the last metric I'll talk about real quickly, and you can keep on this screen actually, is the event highlights, which takes us over to one of the coolest events we were able to be a part of and host is the Five Across Finals. It was the largest audience by over 2 times, and we packed out the Kentucky Theater, the large venue, and it's a really cool milestone for our fans and our audience in Lexington. But really awesome that we had our friend Ben Reno Weber, who won first place with Essential Innovations, and this was just a really special event. 15 years of Five Across supporting Kentucky entrepreneurs like people on this call and a lot of alumni, and we're just really grateful for all of Kentucky for making this such a special event. And then the last one I'll talk about for our customer connection. Lisa, thanks for deleting my excess slide. Again, with SoFab guys, I'm going to be a little vague intentionally, but through one of my KPI calls, Jack and I were talking about some of their industry partners. They mentioned early conversations with Blue Origin, and we have a connection with, let me get this term correctly, connection with one of the engineers that flew on the Blue Origin rocket as part of the new Shepard 22 project. And so I'm trying to help bridge that connection with that engineer for the SoFab team to get their product in front of Blue Origin at a much faster pace. So we're excited to see where this goes because this could be really cool for these guys and what they're building. But other than that, if you have any questions, I will drop my email in this chat. And Lisa, as always, thanks for the time and putting these together so eloquently. We appreciate you.
All right. Thank you, Garrett. Thanks for joining us from the lovely and warm Costa Rica. Highly recommend. I know Jen's been there as well. Love to see it with SoFab. Love all the interconnectedness in hubs supporting each other's startup clients all through their entrepreneurial journey. And quick highlight, we are at 60 attendees. Just want to mention that. So your work does matter and there's lots of interest. All right, hitting it off here in the northern region, we have Dave Knox, Executive Director. They serve 17 counties through the work of Blue North. Welcome, Dave.
Hey, Lisa, how's it going?
Great.
So, good. And make sure my audio actually works before I start talking.
You are fabulous, and you have a whole room full. Love it.
That's the joy of the Spark House. We bring everyone together. So, well, we're going to jump in because our company's actually got to be bouncing for go talk to customers here. So I'm going to turn it right over to Grant to talk about proximity.
Hello, everybody. I don't know how much info you have on what we do, but in short, it is a parking payments application where we take it quite a bit further and create a proximity, hence the name, based ad technology out of it so that we're able to help drive consumers when they pay to park to all the businesses that surround that specific transaction in cities. So we launched out in Lexington in October. That was our first city. And we just recently launched with the city of Covington, which has started to get a lot of good press everywhere. And Blue North has been a big help in that for us. That's actually why I have to leave now, because all that press has got us a meeting with Cincinnati, which is great. That's what we love to do, working out of Spark House here and with Blue North. A couple specific things. I know when I first started this, it was really, really valuable talking to Dave, pointing me in a lot of directions of people to talk to, things to do when raising money, specifically the Kentucky Angel Tax Credit, which I was not aware of. That was very, very helpful in getting some strategic angel investors to invest in our seed round, which also led into Keyhorse providing the matching capital. And then Kinetic Ventures was another big investor of ours as well. And then, of course, all the help they provided with the city of Covington, helping us push that. I mean, working with any government typically requires a lot of positive support, lobbying efforts to get them to move, especially when it's such a consumer-facing product like parking payments. It has to work correctly. And we've been building a lot in the background to ensure that it does. And the launch has gone very, very well. All the press related to it is probably the only positive thing you've seen on parking payments in the news. At least ever. Yeah, it's probably the only thing that I've seen that's positive. And Blue North, of course, was a big help with that. And then now he connected us with Larry in Louisville to help us get that going as well. So we got Lexington, Covington, hopefully Newport soon, and then of course, Louisville would be the last city in the state of Kentucky to round it out that actually uses paid parking to have every city in the state, which would be really, really good for us as we continue to expand outside of the region.
Thanks, Ryan. Go close that next deal.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Appreciate it. Awesome. Since I know we're playing catch up, jump through the metrics real quick. So we always see a big jump in Q2 related to customer connections. That's related to our brand fusion event. That is really a tent pole for how we think about really driving. And that's something become even more important for us. We just finished doing a customer survey for the Blue North community. And the number one thing that people looked for was customer connections. It wasn't funding, it wasn't talent, it was that customer connections drive that revenue. So really a big focus as we're thinking about that one. And then as you look through other metrics, the events with Spark House opening September 20th, we've gone into overdrive in terms of hosting events because now we actually have a home we can host them versus begging and borrowing for space. So that's been a major driver. And then the startup investment, that one is a major jump from one of our startups that just raised $10 million. It has not been publicly announced yet, so we'll be telling you guys about that one probably in the next one. But we want to capture it when the money actually hit the bank account as the important metric. So next. So one of our big events that was a new one that we hosted this year was the Collegiate Founder Summit. This was the brainchild of Reese Watson as our chief of staff. She originally created our corporate VC or our student VC summit. We decided to launch an event that really broadened the view of what entrepreneurship was. So often, if you look at our collegiate entrepreneurship programs, I'd call them overly focused on being a founder, when instead one of the best experiences is jumping into a startup and learning what those roles look like, from sales to go to market to anything else it might be. So that was the focus of the event. This one was an application only opportunity. So this wasn't for anybody. It was really targeted at those top students that we want to get to stick in our community. We end up with 70 students from 15 different universities, including one high school that stuck somebody in, which was pretty cool. So awesome event. And this will be one of our 2 tentpole events as we do our student VC every spring and then the collegiate founders every fall. And this year will be alongside Startup Cincy Week. And then finally, with our brand fusion event that I hinted earlier. So this is an annual event that we hold the social kickoff at Spark House. And then we do the event itself at TQL Stadium, which is the home of FC Cincinnati. This year we had over 40 Fortune 500s and over 55 venture-backed startups participate. One of those was Narratize. They've done it the last 2 years as one of our local Blue North companies. In 2024, one of those introductions led to Kellanova as their largest customer ever. And this year we had 9 different meetings for them with a whole wide range. And they're looking at probably 3 to 4 customers coming out of that event as well. So super excited to continue doubling down and really driving those customer introductions.
Awesome. Thank you for doubling down on that. Appreciate that, always with the leadership through your brand fusion event, and love to see the innovation around your both collegiate founder summit and the VC summit. All right, moving around to the eastern side of the state, we have Dana Barnett. She's Director of Entrepreneurship. SOAR represents and serves 29 counties located there in and around Pikeville in the eastern side of our state. Welcome, Dana.
Good morning. So the startup I want to really highlight is the Kentucky Coffee Trail. Founder Jenny Kaus really is an example of someone who comes with a dream, and with the proper coaching, the proper connections, and the proper support, she really thrived. She was a highlight of our EIR program, and really took the advice and ran with it. And she was able to secure a $10,000 sponsorship from a local tourism, which really creates that synergy between what her tech is, which is an app and a passport that highlights coffee shops all over the state of Kentucky, but also with the mission of making sure that people have a way to connect in communities that they're traveling and visiting to, and highlighting that tourism effort. And she was also accepted into the Accelerate 606 program, which is a great partner of SOAR. And we're really excited to see where she goes. She's going through that program now. And you know, we were also able to connect her with another founder from SOAR who's very much in that tech space. And she was able to cut costs and be able to develop, and she'll have an app coming out soon that you'll be able to download. She has a website now that she didn't previously have, but she'll have an app soon, at a much lower cost than she was originally anticipating when looking at those projections. So that was our highlight. For our metrics, we really did see a boost in quarter 2 that we think we're going to see a trend going forward as well. And it all starts with, you know, that top of the funnel. How many startups can we serve, and can we meet their needs? And then when we think about Startups Advanced, it really comes down to how are we making those strategic referrals? And so we were able to see 53 total startup referrals, very much focused on funding, customers, connections there, which allows those advancements to happen. And we did see 8 advancements this quarter. And then we were able to document 9 jobs created, which all plays into one another, knowing that with the right connections, with the right advancements, those things will create jobs, which is a big focus for Eastern Kentucky and SOAR. The event I want to highlight, which is a full team effort, and you can see a lot of my team members there, is our Pizza and a Pitch event. This is a pitch event that we do throughout the region, but this one was in Pikeville. We had 42 attendees, and it was in partnership with another initiative that we're doing, which is creating entrepreneurship clubs across colleges and universities in our area. And this was in partnership with the entrepreneur in residence at the University of Pikeville and his new ventures creation class. So Jared Arnett, and he is the founder of the Start Something Entrepreneurship Club in Pikeville that we're modeling our other clubs off of. But it was also open to the community. Our local angel fund was there and represented. So it really created that ecosystem moment where students, community members, media, and investors could have time to network and hear some pitches, which were really fun. And then for our customer connection, who I highlighted in our quarter 1, which was Toothshare, we were able to connect them with a local hospital, so the UK St. Clair Healthcare. And with that, they are developing, Toothshare is developing a suction-based drug delivery toothbrush type device that is really innovating a way to cut down on pneumonia in hospitals, ICUs, nursing homes, and things where mobility might not be readily available. And so with that, they're coming out with an upcoming pilot, and UK St. Clair is going to be part of that. And I do want to highlight we were able to also connect them directly with them at the Entrepreneurship Hall of Fame. So that was just a great bridge and networking across our state that really brings people together, and why it's so important to have in-person events and be able to connect our founders with customers. So we're looking forward to seeing what comes in the next couple of quarters with them. They have some exciting news coming out.
Cool. Thank you so much, Dana. Love to see the focus on moving your startup clients through that funnel. Stay focused, and congratulations to Toothshare. Certainly that's a huge problem, particularly now. So love that they are working on that tech in your region. And then finally, we're going to move to our central region, representing the Bowling Green area. We have Buddy Steen, Program Director with Create, and they serve 12 counties in the Create region. And I believe that they have also Chris Matthews with Well Genie. Welcome to both of you.
Hey, thanks, Lisa. Yeah, Chris, unmute if you don't mind. And like you to introduce you guys to this gentleman, very new to our ecosystem, but very much an entrepreneur, a connector, a networker, and really glad to have him on here. And Chris, what I'd like for you to do is talk a little bit about the ecosystem, right? That you're a part of now, and the importance of that when you're an entrepreneur and coming into something new.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Thanks, Lisa. Thanks to everybody for giving me an opportunity to listen and learn. So as Buddy shared, my family and I moved here to Bowling Green about 7 months ago from Dallas, Texas, and big change. But it's been amazing, and Kentucky has delivered beyond expectations. In particular, Bowling Green has delivered beyond expectations, and a lot of that is because of this innovation campus and Create and what I've experienced here. Well, Genie is my 10th startup endeavor. All of my other endeavors were mostly based out of Dallas. I had one in Oklahoma City and one in Wichita, Kansas. And I can, without question, from my experience, it is much easier to accelerate the start of a business in Kentucky. And I'm going to be biased, and specifically with Create, because my experience has been I'm never more than 2 phone calls away from someone being able to help me and unlock a door for me that I did not even think I could have access to. Uh, there's just a real spirit of collaboration here. There's a lot of resources here for entrepreneurs. There are some wildly successful entrepreneurs in this Create ecosystem. And then a real fuel source for me are newer entrepreneurs who haven't seen the movie before, but I get to share with them all of the bear traps that I stepped in that I can then maybe pass forward to them. And people have been kind and generous to do that for me, and I get to pay that forward. It's been really wonderful, from the Small Business Summit to some of the Startup Garden events that I've been asked to speak at. And I can't speak highly enough that even in 3 or 4 or 5 inches of snow and ice that we have outside, I still get in my car and I still come to the Create campus, because there's just there's a different feeling when you're here and you're sharing space and time and energy with people trying to build things.
Perfect. Okay, so go to the next slide. So here's Chris. These are metrics that we measure monthly, and we serve a lot of startups. We have 338 of those, in half a year, right? So there's a lot of meetings going on. Chris will tell you, that there's just a tremendous amount of activity, right? The one of the things I love to count is jobs, right? So we love that. 36 new jobs this half year, and we expect several more of those too. And then the funding, the amount invested in startups. I mean, there's about $2.5 million that's been invested. Our real issue isn't the amount of money that investors have to invest. Our real issue is the number of Well Genies and Jeremy Jacobs companies, right? We need more of those. We get more of those, we get, our funding's good. So results are right on track, and we'll continue to count those. Next slide. So our Small Business Summit was this past quarter. It was almost a whole day event. We had Jeremy Jacobs up there speaking. Chris, I'm pretty sure you were there and now that thing. So we're about 150 other people, and so it was our annual event. It went really quite well. The ecosystem. One of the most important pieces of the ecosystem is the ability, like Chris said, to kind of pick up the phone, and call someone that really knows someone that you need to meet, or whatever resource that you might be trying to acquire. And our ecosystem is full of that, I can assure you. Bowling Green, quite frankly, is one of the most collaborative cities in the country. it's a compassionate place and it's just natural, right? And when we make it place-based with the Innovation Campus and Create, then it just, like Chris said, it just sort of all comes together. So we're happy about that. And then the last slide, this is one of our talking about networkers. Khalil Garman is probably one of the most active networking person in the state, but he has this company here. And one of the connections that we helped make for him was to the Bowling Green school system, and he linked up with them and closed that deal rapidly. So we just wanted to kind of brag on him a little bit. Khalil, I think you're probably on here, but but we're out of time. So Lisa, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Thank
Chris,
you
thank
so
you.
much. Chris, thank you for sharing your experience with Create, and welcome to the Bowling Green area. We welcome you into our Kentucky startup community.
Thank you.
Good to have you. Yes. Very quickly, as we round out, you can check out February 17th. We will have our monthly Startup Resources series where we bring another expert with a particular program, organization, individual, expert, and how they can help and assist your startup clients. So you'll get to hear from another great speaker in that monthly series. Quarterly, we of course have our innovation hubs provide their progress against their goals in the quarterly update. Our next is planned for Wednesday, April 22nd. You can mark that on your calendar, and we look to see you all here again. Thank you. One of our highest attendance today at 60. So the work is important that you're doing. It's well regarded, and we have a lot of interest. So I encourage you to keep on keeping on and stay warm. Thanks, everybody.